back again in the workshop. I'm just going to check that this is working. It is. Right, it's been quite a while since we were last here. Christmas has come and gone, and New Year and all that, so Happy New Year to you all. Right, where am I going to show you? Kind of lost track a little bit of what I was up to last time. I think I was talking through the frames and where we're up to with the frames. I've jumped a bit forward on one or two things with the class 2, and I'm also tonight I'm going to bow down to a bit of peer pressure. Let me just sort this camera out a sec. Just bear with me on this. Sorry about my hand getting in there, guys. That's it. Right, so I was going to bow down to a bit of peer pressure and actually show you making something, just because someone said to me, a comment was made, oh, is it all going to be show and tell and not actually any work? So for some reason I've got in my own head, and I'm going to give in to that peer pressure from a viewer, and I'm going to show you making something tonight, or my methods of making something. It's going to be something very simple, so it doesn't make the video too long. And what we're going to do is we're going to make one of those, and that's the tank supports. If you can see that, it's a tank support, so it's flush riveted on the inside, and then you can see the heads of the rivets on the underside. So we're going to knock one of those together tonight. But what I'm going to show you quickly, just because I'm quite pleased with this, that's that bit. So you can see there, lots of rivets are being whacked in. Name and number plate. Name and number plate's not got a name on it. The BR3. This one here is BR3 tender. When it was built, 1954. It's built. I don't know if you can get in. If I can get in close enough without the light bouncing off it too much. So it had every tender had a tender number. Every engine was allocated with a number. So it's got a number that this tender was allocated, and then obviously 3,000 gallons, the oval plate there, and then I've put a lamp on the lamp bracket. Well, they're temporary on, obviously, the lamp brackets and these, because obviously all this is going to be painted once the back's done. So if I show you the back, at the minute I've still got the rivets to file over and make completely flush, but what I do with them is I trim them off just enough so that when it squashes into the countersink, it makes a nice perfect fill on that countersink. It fills it up nicely, so it's not going to leak water. Fingers crossed, it's not going to leak water. And then I can finish that off in the back. I probably don't need to do all of them, to be fair. I can just do the outer ones where there's the support, the angle that obviously everything else is bolted and soldered to. Sorry, excuse my nose, it's running like hell because it's cold out here. Yeah, so I probably don't need to do them all because there's nothing going to interfere with the back of that. Just going to be the angle around the outside of it on the inside, and that the sides will go to the bottom and the top. So do I need to flush them all off? And I could just leave them as they are. Do you know what I mean? Probably not, but it all will come clear when I get to that stage. And you're probably asking me, like, why are you starting on the tank already when you haven't finished the actual frames? And the reason is for these parts. I don't know if you can see that. Let me put my fag down a minute. These parts here, see, it's got some holes in it, and it's got nothing on the back. It's got nothing on the other side. Now this, on the drawings, it doesn't really show this, on the published drawing, should I say, it doesn't really show what size this angle is. And I've worked out from works drawings that it's, to us, 3/8 that way, 1/2 inch that way. So some 1/2 inch angle, slice a bit of it off to make 3/8 by 1/2 inch. And what these parts are, what this is for, this goes roughly about there. You can see that. And then there'll be one there, and then there's two on the outer, two smaller ones with two holes in, like so, and they go on the outer edges there. And what that does is that bolts through the tank bottom it'll be on the full size, it's welded to that back plate, and the bolt holes go to, and now let me take you off there a second and show you, they bolt to here. You can see that, probably not. Let's turn you around that way. So you can see this angle on the outside, they go in there, and there's supports for the upright at the back. Now you can see on the top of there, tilt that way, there's no holes in this yet. And don't worry, this isn't finished gloss red, it's just an undercoat. And what this does is it's going to obviously bolt everything together on the back of there. It's going to bolt everything onto the back of there. Let's pop you back up here so I can talk to you and you can see what I'm talking about. It's going to bolt through the tank bottom and bolt onto those angles on the rear of the buffer beam there. You can just see it in the view. And it's going to hold that, it kind of bolts it down. Then obviously you've got down the sides of the tank, down the side of the tender chassis, you'll have the outriggers. Yeah, so there's 5 of these down the side, each side, so there's 10 of them. So that's bolted to the outside, that's bolted to the back, and then on the front, sorry, I'm going to wipe my nose again. On the front, there's going to be 2 little pieces of angle behind the front drag beam, and that bolts the front of it down. So the whole of the tender tank will be bolted down onto the chassis, if that makes sense. So that kind of is where we're going with why I whacked a load of rivets in there and everything like that. It's because I'm going quite a number of steps forward to do something that is relevant to what I'm doing now. So you'll see that there's a lot of primer gone on it and a lot of undercoat colours. Now, if any of you know me from when I built my dad's engine, I did the same with that. I made a load of parts and then I primed it and put it in a base undercoat and then painted it as it kind of got built. I know a lot of model engineers will leave it in full, get a working engine in just raw materials. And when I say raw materials, I mean like the brass and the steel work, and then strip it down and paint it and put it all back together. I did it as I went along. I don't know why I did it that way, that's the way I do things. So yeah, so I'm going to go and make one of these. I've kind of already slimmed down some angle because it's 3/4 by 3/8. I've already slimmed down some angle and clamped it all up ready to drill. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go in the other side of the workshop, we're going to drill it and rivet it together, and we're going to go from there. So stay tuned and we'll get cracking. All right. Okay, so here's one all made up, lot. You can see I've already countersunk the tops ready to put the rivets in. Plain there, lot. And then the underside hasn't been drilled through yet. What we're going to do now is just whiz through these holes, into the brass, ready to rivet. And what that's going to do, obviously, is going to give us obviously transfer the holes into the brass. So just have to stop off that because I've had it for the counter sinking. Just transferring straight through into there. Now you think, well, that's a bit of a odd way of holding something to do it, you know, you could hold it better in the machine or whatever. But it's not going to move, it's not going to grab and drift up the drill because it's whizzing through some soft material very quickly. And you'll feel it as it punches through the other side. That is how my dad showed me how to do it way back when. So there we go. See that? Load of holes in the back. So very simple, very easy. So what I can do now is I can take the 2 clamps off that, which I'm going to do. Just tickle these over with a file, give them a bit of a rub, both sides on that piece of angle. Ready for riveting, and then I'm going to dig out some rivets. So I'm going to pause you again now. I'm going to dig out some rivets. We're going to push those in. I'm going to get my riveting tool in the vise, which 1 or 2 of you have seen me use it before with something else. Whack some 16th rivets in, and that's it done in a nutshell, hopefully. And you'll find it informative, and I've bowed down to the peer pressure of me making something. So here we go, just bear me a sec. Okay, riveting tool, 16th snap in the top. Okay, it's in a collar so it won't go anywhere. Yeah, it's not going to move anywhere. This part swings over, so if I'm going to do a dome head both sides, this keeps the upper snap dead in line with that one, and I can do it kind of one-handed, one hand holding the material over the, keeping it nice and level and everything. Put one on the one on there like that, hold it, swing that over, and put the other one on top. So my rivets, you can see there, are over long. Let me put a bit of light on it. There we are, my rivets are over long. Okay, it's already countersunk, ready for them to go into. So the key with this, so they say, to get a good finish is 1.5 times the diameter of the rivet head sticking out. However, these countersinks aren't that deep. They're only probably 1/8 of a diameter, so I only really need just over 1/8 of material. So what I'll do is just snip it off and leave just a little bit of material sticking out. Oh, my bloody nose. Anyway, so just a little bit of material sticking out. Put that on the snap like so, minding your fingers. Ball peen hammer, yeah. If it starts to stray, which this one is doing, tap it the way you want it to go. To fill in that countersink, which it's just done. Job done. So we've got one in, that's holding it. Then now, you can still just manoeuvre the angle around, and I say just because it is very tight. Obviously that rivet's holding it, yeah, so you can just manoeuvre it where you need it to be to line the holes up if the holes go out of alignment. So we've done one, and then what I'd tend to do then is go into an opposite corner and put the next one in, yeah, because then it's going to hold it square. Give it a shove through. If they're a bit tight, which these rivets, I didn't get these from my normal supplier, which is EKP. I got these 16th rivets from somewhere else off the interweb, and even though that's drilled through at a 16th, it's not pushing in. It should just push straight through. And I've cleaned the burrs off and wiped them with a countersink to make sure that there's no material blocking up that 16th hole, and it's being a bit reluctant. So I do then, I just hover it over the edge and just give it a little tap on the head, and it should just start to creep through. You can tell it's not quite right, the diameter of that rivet, because what I've just wiped off there is a little thin slice of copper. There we are, you can hear it go up then. a little thin slice of copper, and you can tell as well because it's polished one edge of it. So I know those rivets aren't exactly 1/16. They're just a little bit, a fraction, and I mean a proper fraction over. So just a little material to fill that countersink. Snip that off. Pop it back on the snap. Filled up nicely on there. Nice rivet head showing on the inside. Filled up flush on the top. There's a little bit of material on the top, which I'll file off once it's done, just to finish that off and make it nice and flat. Same flat as that, obviously. So there we go. Now I'm just going to pause you again and just finish off these last three, file it off and show you the finished article, because you don't want to see me farting about whacking rivets in, because let's be honest, it doesn't make for very great viewing. So another tight rivet. So there we go. Just goes to show, when you change where you normally get something from, it doesn't always work out, and you might be doing it for the sake of chasing a few pence. Your normal supplies out of stock for a couple of weeks. Could be any reasons why you change the supplier. It doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. So what I'll do is just pause you now. I'm going to do the same again 3 more times, and then we'll see you in the other workshop. One last thing I'm going to show you just before I finish this bit off. Just go over it a bit of 150 emery to take any sort of lines out of it that the file has created. Nice and flat. Beautiful. That's it. Job done. Nice. Right, back again. So I've just for some reason took it off pause and ended up pressing stop, so that's why it's going to look a bit weird in the editing. So there we are, that's what we've just made. There we are, dome head rivets there, flush on the inside. There we are, 2 of them. That one's the cutout for the water filter box, and this will, if you can see that, will bolt in here on the side of the frames, and this gives you the outrigger then for the tank, and there'll be one there that's going to go in, one there, one there, one there. You'll also notice as well, I'll just fly the camera over here because it's easier. Oops. That upper stretches in and the cross members are in. This front one I've still got to do with the silver solder. He's ready for it, but I've not done that yet, and I've not been in the workshop. This is the first time I've been in the workshop for a week or so. One thing and another, busy and all that. So I thought I'd best get out tonight and do my update video, and also make a little something. So that's all I'm going to do for tonight. I hope you found it informative. There may be some critics out there going, oh, you're approaching that wrong, making that wrong, blah blah blah, but the end result is correct. So am I doing it wrong? One for the food for thought there. If it turns out right, it can't be wrong, can it? How your technique is, as long as it's not unsafe and putting you in danger, you know, we all have different methods of holding things and drilling things and riveting things, and you know, that's how I was shown by my dad when we was doing the our first class 2 tender. We did them exactly the same way as I'm doing them tonight, and I would class my dad as a lot more experienced engineer than I ever will be. So there we go. So not much or a lot of progress, depends how you want to look at it. I think the chassis coming on really well. These parts obviously I need to get done. Then I'll take the actual frame plates out of the equation, so I'll unbolt the stretchers and the drag boxes, take one plate out at a time, drill those through on there, transfer those holes through, and that bit will be done then. Excuse me. All right, I'm coming down with a cold again. Yeah, so that's kind of what we're up to with that. I have started as well machining the first stick of horn guides, horn cheeks, however you want to say it, for the tender chassis. You'll also notice as well, if you follow the page, I've been doing a lot of drawing, a hell of a lot of drawing for the actual engine frames, and I've had to speak to a number of people about different parts to it, and the conundrum of, do I go down the route of full works drawings and everything to works drawings, or do I bring it back a step and mix the Dick Stockings drawings with the works drawings, and but you know, with the works drawings being able to add a bit of detail in. One of them I know for a fact is going to happen, and that's the stretchers inside the frames, because on the Dick Stockings drawings there's 2 horizontal stretchers drawn on it. There is only one on the full-size engine. Why he felt the need to put another one in, I don't know, because the vertical one that he put in between the motion brackets is a big thick casting, so it couldn't have been for strength. I'm not sure why he added it in, whether the Ivet class 2, because if you notice as well, and I keep harping on about this, his drawings were a mix of an Ivet and BR standard. There's things that he's done to the drawings and you can tell he's copied an Ivet, one of them being that bit of angle across the back there. The Ivet had a full piece of angle between the buffers on the upper part. I know for a fact that that's a copy of the Ivet, so did he do it on other things? Who knows? But one thing's for certain, I'm not going to make the same mistake. So I'm in the engine frames, I've added probably every nut and bolt that's going to go into it from works drawings. I'm actually drawing both things again. I've done the conversion of the works drawings, and I'm also drawing the Dick Stockings frames. I've overlaid the 2, and the cylinders are in the same place. The frames are almost the same, however there is differences at the top where the boiler mounts onto it. The works drawings, it's the boiler, the cutout in the frame is lower down than what it is on the Dick Stockings drawings, so obviously that changes where the bracket that's in the side of the firebox, where that's going to sit. So then I'm going into having to draw the boiler, or at least the outline of the boiler, to get that to sit right. Then the smoke box has got to be right, and there's a lot of detail that's going into it at the minute. So that's where I'm up to with that. So this kind of took a bit of a sideline work-wise while I was doing these drawings. But we're back in. Obviously I've made some progress, you can tell that. And one last thing before I go, and I was saying about the spacer pieces for the southern region lamp brackets. There we are, and I've drilled the holes. I've transferred those holes into the back of the tank plate, which are, if I can get this right, you can just see them there. Look, there's 2 there, and then there's 2 over here. And I ordered from EKP some 12BA countersunk screws. They're going to come through from the back, nuts on the outside, and then when the time comes, run everything with a bit of solder, bit of soft solder to seal it up so that there's absolutely no chance of any water going to leak through them, and they're done. So yeah, anyway, I'm bloody waffling on again. Thank you ever so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. I'm trying not make it a month and a half this time. We'll hopefully get a bit more progress done. Also as well, no relevance to building a class 2 at all. For those that have got a home workshop that isn't insulated very well, the temperature is going to rise heavily this week. So be wary of your heavy steel, your milling machine, your lathe and stuff, because it's going to sweat like hell, because it's going from what we're at the minute 1-2 degrees, it's going to go up to about 14 degrees. That temperature change skyrocketing like that, it'll make everything sweat. So just be wary of it, give it a good oil over, and keep that damn rust at bay. Anyway, see you again soon.